What's up guys, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory, our last Europa League game of 2025, our 6th Europa League game. A big step into that top 3. I think winning on Thursday at Celtic Park against Celtic would ideally push you into that top 8. I reckon if you win on Thursday, you've got 1 foot in the top 8, because then you play against Stuttgart at home and then against Panathinaikos in Greece, but we're clearly better than them. So I think Thursday's game is very important. Every game is important, but I must say I'm quite glad that this is our last European game of the year. Of the solar year, because I think I've said it many times. This team cannot sustain, at time of speaking, games after games after games, mixing tournaments, sharing attention and energy between various different tournaments. I don't think we're in a position to do that right now. So I'm glad that we're back in Europe, hopefully with the reinforcements in January from the transfer session. But yeah, look, let's speak about this game. It's a very entertaining game. I would have loved to be in Glasgow, and I did promise everyone that I would have gone back when the draws came out. I unfortunately have an exam tomorrow and an exam on Friday, and the game is on Thursday. So I would have loved to go to Celtic away, in that away end, but unfortunately it will have to wait. If anyone is going, do send us some pictures on Roma Theory. Let us know about your experience, of course. Because, traveling to Scotland is always great. We did it a few weeks ago with Rangers. Now at Celtic Park, back in Glasgow, back in that Scottish, hostile, windy, cold, Baltic environment. An away trip to Scotland means hat, scarf, and jacket, right? So we can't really complain about it. It's the beauty of going to Scotland, I guess. If I picture Scotland, I picture haggis, I picture iron brew, and I just picture cold weather, freezing weather. So, it must be a fun one, and safe travels if you are traveling to Glasgow. But let's speak about this game, guys. As always, this is your dedicated match preview. We'll speak about Celtic, who just changed in manager, by the way. And then us. I expect a lot of rotations in this one. I do. I really do expect a lot of rotations, because I think that Midtjylland game proved to us that if we want to share a lot of attention on the Europa League, then we're going to feel the consequences in the league. And I just feel like Monday's game against Como is more important than Celtic. And I am an avid person who believes that the Europa League should not be scrapped one bit. I just feel like Monday's game is definitely more important. But hello to everyone. You have a flu? Mate, I don't have a flu. But you know what? I actually honestly fear that I am allergic to sushi. Because I went out for sushi with my girlfriend yesterday, and I've noticed that every time I go out for sushi, the next day something happens to me, and I feel all itchy. My nose feels all itchy today, and it's not a flu, but I can't explain it. I really cannot explain it. I'm not scientific one bit, but I cannot explain why the hell. It would be pretty disastrous, me allergic to sushi, because as an Italian, it's a big heresy. It shouldn't be said, but sushi is definitely my favorite food. So, no, it's probably not Italian food over sushi. But Last Supper is definitely sushi for me. So, if I do get the confirmation that I'm allergic to it, it would be a very, very, very tough fit to digest. But that's just my interpretation. It's not a confirmation. I just noticed every time I eat sushi, something happens to me the following day. Hopefully not. But we've got a good old coffee. 7 p.m. coffee. I'm not a coffee addict, I swear. I promise I'm not. There are certain days where I just crave coffee, just the flavor of it. So I need a coffee with me. Okay, how did we end up speaking about sushi? You look sick. Yeah, mind my nose, guys. I look like Rudolph today. Okay, let's speak about this game. Very important game. I just want to start off with hang on, with the league table, because the last game we had an early kickoff, and we did the match reaction before the other games, and after the full game schedule in the last Europa League game week, a lot of things have changed. We're currently going into this game week as 15th in the table with 9 points, but the 10th team also has 9 points. So basically 5 teams are separated, actually have got the same point. I still think that some of the teams that are currently occupying that top 8 will not make it, because I look at them at first impact and they do not seem to me as teams that will withstand an entire 5 months as top 8. Lyon, I think, will. Aston Villa will. Freiburg will. Betis will. Porto will. But Braga, Ferencvaros and Midtjylland, we've tested Midtjylland and we didn't even play amazing and we beat them. So I think in the long run, if we do our job, then we're going to put pressure on them because they're going to drop points, which is why I say this game is massive. I would argue that this is, out of our 3 remaining games, I would argue that this is the most important one, because I definitely think that this is the hardest one of the remaining games, and therefore it's the one which I would treat the most careful. Having said that, as I said at the beginning, I expect a lot of changes, because, which is kind of, again, it's kind of, these two statements go against each other, because if you rotate a lot, then you're setting yourself up for a bad performance. And we've seen this, because our second lines aren't good enough to beat even, Celtic away. We're going to have difficulties if our second lines play, but we're forced to do so. We've got a limited team up to now. The manager doesn't trust anyone. Not anyone. He doesn't trust everyone that is on the squad list. Some players are not on the UEFA list, and I'm looking at Baldanzi. So I expect a few changes. Overall, I don't expect a dramatic turnover. Gasperini doesn't like that. But a few changes, I think, are necessary for this game, because Monday's game against Como, seeing that Cagliari result this weekend is a bad, it is a complicated game. And we do need to recover from it, because 3 consecutive defeats in the league would be pretty disastrous. Celtic, I've read that both Celtic and Rangers have struggled this season, which is why Hearts is leading the Scottish Premiership, right? And Hearts beat Celtic at Celtic Park this weekend, which is almost preparing them for their first league title after a lot of time. So both the 2 dominant teams in Scotland that we're facing and we have faced this year are 2 teams that have struggled this year. Both teams have changed manager. Both teams have gone through absolutely terrible periods. Celtic started off with Brendan Rodgers, if I'm not wrong. And the reason that, not weird, respect to them, but if you get all of those Champions League teams that are playing the Champions League this season, there's definitely an outlier. There's definitely an anomaly. And that anomaly is Kairat Almaty. Because you ask yourselves 2 questions. Number 1, how that is Europe. And number 2, how on earth they made it in the Champions League. And they beat Celtic. They were the ones that beat Celtic on penalties, which led them to the Champions League, and Celtic in the Europa League. So they're a team that this season have struggled, and we cannot hide this. But again, as I always say, going up there is not easy. It looked easy against Rangers, but I do fancy Celtic over Rangers. I think Celtic are better than Rangers this year. So, you need to be careful. New manager is a French guy, Nancy. Nancy, like the Stranger Things character. He's their new manager. The one thing with Celtic, I think that whether they have a good season or not, which is always a bit alarming when you face them, is that unlike Rangers, I think Celtic in last years have grabbed more European experience, because I remember Celtic in quite a few Champions League editions in last couple of years. I believe last year they were in the Champions League as well. So they've developed an experience which is different from Rangers in a way, because in the last several years they've managed to face themselves against higher dimensions and bigger dimensions, and sometimes they even grabbed some good results. So this is not an easy game, and we need to go there aware that we cannot be losing more points, that we need to switch on because the last 3 games have been absolutely dead, and that our next slot of games are going to be very important both on the European and the league national domestic front. I think, again, speaking about the rotations, I'm going to show you my lineup. My lineup is this. My lineup is this because I think Mancho will rest. I think Mancho in the last 2 games has been he's been a bit off in the last 2 games that we've played. Napoli, Cagliari, I've seen a less precise Mancini. Mancini's played every minute basically this year, even playing on some physical non-ideal conditions. So I would rest Mancho in this game, and I would start Celik in a back three where I think he performs better. And number 2, Celik is suspended for the Como game. So I do think Celik will play this game, whether that's going to be in a 3-man defense or in a 5th as that fullback, which I don't like Celik in. I think he's way better in this position. I do think Celik will play. Ndika, Hermoso in defense. I did see Ndika a bit off against Cagliari as well. But my point here is that Ndika is almost about to leave for AFCON. This is his second to last game. If we manage to keep him for Monday's game against Como, then he'll leave for AFCON. It's not like he's going on holiday, but it's like, he's with Ivory Coast. So let him play this game. And then Hermoso. In the middle, I think, is where we're going to see the most changes. I think Wrench will start. I think Wesley will get back starting after he missed the Cagliari game. In the middle, I want Cristante and Kone to both rest, and I want Pizzilli to start this game. I want Kone to rest this game because Kone needs to recover, because he hasn't recovered from that ankle issue. Sources say he will. Maybe he himself will say he is recovered from that. You can see by the way he plays that he still hasn't fully recovered. And I want to give Pizzilli a few minutes because I feel like, seen his under-21 performances with Italy and seen what Gasperini says about him in press conferences, I want to see if he has hired that level. So I want to see Pizzilli in this lineup. And I'm going to match him next to El Anawi, who's coming from a great Europa League performance against Midtjylland. Great goal and great overall performance in general. Up front, Ferguson, El Shaarawy, Dybala. I want Sule to rest. I want Pellegrini to rest. And I want Dybala to start. I am the first one to say that Dybala needs, in my opinion, to become a last 30-minute game player. But he's missing too many games that if you don't start him against Celtic again, you're literally... I don't like Dybala from the beginning anymore. I think Dybala is a last 30-minute player. But some players also need a rest. So I think Dybala... And again... He's barely ever played this. I was revisiting the games that we've played this season. Dybala's barely played this year. Dybala's barely played. He needs to switch on. And again, against these teams are the teams that Dybala can still, in my opinion, make a difference in. Because I think when you hire the level too much, he doesn't make the difference anymore. And it's in these games that you need Dybala to start his consistent momentum and pick up that form that will hopefully keep him on stage before his next injury. El Shaarawy on the other side and Ferguson up front. Rumours say, Gazzetta dello Sport says that Roma have contacted Brighton to end Ferguson's loan in January. And all I can do is pray for that to be true, because he is absolutely useless, and the manager doesn't trust him, and I swear he's never fit. So if that is true, which I still think is very unlikely, because why would Brighton ever accept this? Like, why would they ever accept this? Like, in what world would Brighton go, okay, let's end the loan? Okay, he's been terrible for you, but okay, I will end the loan and bring him back. Like, there would have to be a little clause in the contract saying that we can do this. Otherwise, why would they ever say yes? Why would they ever say yes? Like, what's the point? They're not our allies. So if there's something that they want to do is try and get that 40 million cash from us, which I don't think will happen because he won't play anymore if we're getting close to that. But yeah, I do still think it's quite an unrealistic scenario to drop his loan in January and replace him, because you'd need Brighton to accept this, and I don't see a world where they do. If they do accept him, I'll be the first one to ship him back. Like, if Brighton say yes, I'll bring him on my back to Ireland or Brighton, wherever he came from, because he's just that goal against Cremonese gave us a false hope. But then again, everyone looked well and everyone looked good in that Cremonese game. Just to then return shit in the Napoli game. Yeah, he hasn't clicked. He clearly hasn't clicked, and I don't even think he cares that much. So don't need to move on. And if it means, emptying a slot for another striker to come in, then of course it would be ideal. But yeah, that's my lineup. I reckon I'm not gonna give predictions because I think in this phase we're very unpredictable. I think we've entered a phase of the year where it's very hard for us to predict our results, because it's always complicated to understand whether the players are tired and are feeling the intensity, or they're not and they want to get back playing like they played like Cremonese. So what I can say is that on paper I would pen the balance on us. On paper I would pen us as favourites, but I would have penned us favourites against Cagliari as well, and then nobody decided to turn up. So with Roma, it's always like this. It's like, what Roma are we going to get? Are we going to get a hungry Roma who wants to win this game? Or are we going to get a team that kind of doesn't want to play this game and is focused on that Monday game? Again, just like I defined that Midtjylland game as the upside down, I'm not going to define the same as this one, but this, coming from two heavy defeats in the league, this is also a game which can be used as a trampoline, absolutely, but that to prepare for that Como game, I think everyone would have avoided. But yeah, look, bring it on. Very excited for Thursday. It's going to be a cracker. Okay, let's read a few comments. Love from India, says Football Spork. I'm a Celtic fan. I love the podcast, though. Hi from Indiana. I've been a Roma and Celtic fan all my life, so this is a tough game for me. Nice. I've noticed that there are a lot of people who follow this channel who have both Roma and Celtic as their two teams, which is quite interesting, because I've read at least 5, if not more, comments of people going that their two teams are Celtic and Roma. Maybe it's because of Ferguson. Ireland has a tie with... There's a connection between Ireland and Celtic, right? Maybe it's because of Ferguson, but you're definitely not the first one to say that you like Roma and are a Celtic fan. From Indiana in the States. Hawkins. The boys just got a new manager. The Irish, Welsh, Scots and English have been found to be genetic blood brothers of the Basque people, secret holy grail. Scientists revealed. This is the true history they hid. Look it up and pass it on. What do I need to do? Look it up and pass it on. Look up what? The history. Oh, you get history facts. History facts. Nice. We will thank you for that, mate. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. Enjoy Champions League football tonight. Who's playing tonight? What games do we have? Atalanta Chelsea will be a good one. Oh, Liverpool. That Mo Salah. I hope they lose tonight against Inter. I hope they do because I want to see if they have the balls to sack Slot. And with all this Salah tantrum, I'm like, who are Liverpool gonna choose sides with? Because I mean, they've chosen Slot, of course, because he didn't get a call up. But if they lose today, which I think is very likely, Liverpool won't win tonight, in my opinion. Does Slot go if they lose tonight? He has to, right? Surely he gets sacked if they lose today. I mean, he's clearly lost the team. That's the thing with Liverpool. I think he's clearly lost the dressing room. And with Salah being such a leader, you know, it's not easy to come back. But anyways, mind my feels like, God, it genuinely feels like I'm lying on a grass field in May. But it's December. I don't understand this. It's not a flu. It's not itchy nose. Okay, I'll catch you tomorrow. Press conference tomorrow. We will cover it and bring it on. Simo out.